Hello everyone, my name is Riley Price and I am the Executive Director here at the Missouri Alliance for Historic Preservation. I would like to welcome all of you to the 2021 Places in Peril announcement, the list of Missouri's endangered historic places. For those of you who are not familiar with Missouri Preservation, or this is your first time joining us, Missouri Preservation is a statewide nonprofit organization dedicated to advocating for, educating about, and assisting with the preservation of Missouri's unique architectural heritage. Places in Peril is one of our primary advocacy efforts, and it calls attention to endangered places. Endangerment can be a variety of things: deterioration, lack of funds, lack of maintenance, impending demolition, insensitive development, a variety of these factors combined. Our goal is to publicize these places and those that support them in hopes of each endangered property's eventual preservation. I hope tonight's video will encourage you to get involved. Each place will have its own blog post on our website that you can check out after this announcement. It will detail who you can contact to get involved, where you can donate. I also heavily encourage you, if you are not already a member, to become a member of Missouri Preservation. We would not exist without our members, and they are our primary source of support. I would also like to thank the sponsor of this evening, Strata Architecture Plus Preservation. We are very grateful for your support, and we could not have put on this announcement without your assistance.
Hello everyone. The Henry County Historical Society has managed the Dorman home since about 2008. The house, however, has a history that stretches back much further than that. Built in 1852, the home had a few owners before its namesake was given to it, the Dorman House. It is attributed to Judge J. Dorman and his family, who were prominent figures in Henry County history and the home's most locally famous owners. In recent years, under the Historical Society's guidance, it has been used to help people understand our local history, provide examples of Victorian artifacts, and also help incorporate and explain histories for some organizations, such as the Daughters of the American Revolution. The Dorman home was restored in the early 1990s, and an additional building was built onto the original home, which is now used to accommodate tours and other functions for the museum. Recently, the old home has begun to show signs of some structural problems, which has made it unsafe for tours or use. In the past 2 years, a significant shifting in the foundation has led to the east wall showing signs of collapse, and the signs of this shifting can be seen throughout the interior of the home as well. Walls and door frames have separated from baseboards and adjoining structures. Window frames have separated from the walls they are attached to, and a clear bowing of the east wall can be seen from the exterior of the home. It is the first two-story home built in Clinton, Missouri, and is on the National Register of Historic Places. The home possesses a wonderful and rich history. The loss of and the inability for people to enjoy this historic landmark would be immeasurable. As with many historic places, preserving a sense of the past is the goal, and the Dorman home preservation and acquisition is an achievement in these efforts, unless it is lost. We at the Henry County Historical Society know the importance of the preservation of the past in many forms. The Dorman House is in danger of being lost, and the structural deterioration will only continue if something is not done to stop it. We appreciate any help you may provide in saving this historic treasure from being lost. Thank you.
Located down the hill from the Missouri Capitol building and within feet of the Missouri River and Railroad, the 1855 Union Hotel at Lowman's Landing in Jefferson City has stood witness to a number of important events and people in Missouri's history. Originally called the Missouri Hotel, the current moniker was adopted upon the return of the hotel's owner from the Civil War to reflect his military sentiments. When river traffic slowed following the arrival of the railroad, the hotel was used for storage and tenements. In the early 1900s, the hotel and nearby Lowman building were purchased for use as a factory and offices for the Tweedle Shoe Company. The state acquired both buildings in the 1960s with the intent of demolishing them for a parking lot, but concerned citizens, led by Missouri Preservation's founding member Elizabeth Rozier, spearheaded a campaign to save the buildings. Both the Union Hotel and Lohman Building were restored to create Jefferson Landing State Historic Site, which opened to the public in 1976. The Union Hotel became home to the Elizabeth Rozier Gallery, which housed temporary exhibits on Missouri history, art, and culture. Missouri State Parks utilized the upper floors for offices, and since 1984, the lower floor has functioned as a passenger station for Amtrak. The building was closed in late 2019 due to structural concerns, and in August of 2020, the state issued a report detailing issues and estimated construction costs. During the 2021 legislative session, local nonprofit organization Historic City of Jefferson campaigned to have the Union Hotel included as part of Jefferson City's Capitol complex. This effort has not yet been successful. Historic City of Jefferson hopes that listing the Union Hotel as a place in peril will encourage support from members of the state legislature in 2022.
Though it be coincidental or intentional, after the January the 6th insurrection on the Capitol in Washington, D.C., Oakley Chapel AME Church in Tibbetts, Missouri was heavily vandalized on January the 20th, and arson was attempted in the sanctuary. 5 youth tried to destroy its rich history. They are awaiting trial that was delayed by COVID, and they will have to do community service. In 1870, in the aftermath of the Civil War, an acre of land in Tibbetts, Missouri was deeded to the trustees of the Colored Methodist Church and became the site of Oakley Chapel African Methodist Episcopal Church. The men of the congregation, mostly freed slaves and their descendants, began construction on the simple rectangular building that became the focal point of the Tibbetts community. It was a church and a gathering place for generations. It was the first AME church built in Callaway County. And because of the vandalism, the community came together and the project was energized. I met with some of the descendants of Oakley Chapel who volunteered to help. Through this special historical project, the renovation of Oakley Chapel AME Church, Saving Hannah, is being realized. We must honor the memory of our ancestors and preserve our history. MFA Oil Company donated 3 acres of land for the possible relocation of the church, stating that the donation may help preserve a part of the community's cultural heritage. And on May 5th, 2021, MFA transferred the deed to the lot in a highly visible location on Highway 94 near Katy Trail in Tibbetts, Missouri, to the AME Church. Leaders from the AME Church and the Tibbetts community are now exploring how moving the church could preserve Oakley Chapel and its legacy. A business plan and a feasibility study is being conducted. A memorial garden, a park, a retreat center, and a community center is being explored. If this story inspires you and you would like to be a part of it, please go to our website, oakleychapelame.org, or call me at area code 314-426-3001. We need your help. Help us to save Oakley Chapel. We can do this together.
The two-story building at the corner of 10th and Broadway in Kansas City, built in 1874 as the Brackett Brothers Drugstore, is most commonly remembered as the home of Sidon's Furs. A 1980 architectural survey noted that the building is the oldest existing structure in Kansas City's central business district. When the building closed in 2007, Sidon's remained one of the oldest businesses in the city. The iconic vertical neon sign spelling Sidon's and an orange fox still hangs above the corner entrance, and boxes of fur coats still fill the vacant building. In July 2021, heavy rains caused a partial roof collapse, and shortly afterward, the property was tagged by the city as dangerous. Interested parties have attempted to acquire the building for many years, but the owners have so far been resistant, requesting a sum for the property no less than $1 million. Local artists have envisioned turning the building into Sidon's Art Studios, featuring low-cost rental spaces for artists. Supporters hope that listing 935 Broadway as a place in peril will encourage the owners to either repair and reuse their building or accept a reasonable sale offer from one of the numerous interested buyers, returning the former Sidon's Furs to its status as a viable resource in the central business district.
Hello, I'm Brian Yansen, Executive Director with Lake of the Ozarks Council of Local Governments. We are a nonprofit regional planning commission serving Camden, Laclede, Miller, and Morgan counties. Our agency nominated the beautiful Grand All-Glaze Bridge to be included on the Missouri Preservation Places in Peril list and are very grateful that the unique historic structure has been selected.
The Grand All-Glaze Bridge is a 500-foot-long wired cable suspension bridge built sometime between 1920 and 1931. The bridge was designed and constructed for Miller County by Joseph A. Dice, a self-taught bridge engineer who relied on his memory and a ball of twine for measuring. The Grand All-Glaze Bridge was the last original swinging bridge in Missouri to function as part of a transportation corridor for local citizens and tourists alike. The aesthetics and nostalgic value lures visitors to go out of their way to see this unique historic bridge. In August 2018, an inspection was performed rating the bridge in poor condition. Shortly thereafter, a grassroots campaign was underway to save the historic Brumley Swinging Bridge. Through the efforts of this committee, the bridge was designated and officially listed on the National Register of Historic Places on October 8, 2020. In January 2021, an inspection conducted by Missouri Department of Transportation resulted in complete closure of the historic bridge to both vehicular and foot traffic. Following the bridge closure in January 2021, Miller County retained the services of an engineering firm to determine if the bridge could be repaired and safely reopened to traffic. The firm concluded that the repair task could be performed to retain the historic integrity of the swinging bridge, with a total estimated cost of $650,000.
The county has limited funding to allocate to this project, and traditional funding mechanisms available to the county do not allow for preservation of this historic structure without adversely impacting the integrity of the swinging bridge. It is also critical to note that the emergency response time for some residents living in the vicinity of the bridge have significantly increased. Our focus and that of the Save the Historic Brumley Swinging Bridge as a non-for-profit organization is to save, repair, and preserve this historic cable suspension bridge. The recognition achieved by this designation of the swinging bridge to the Missouri Preservation's Places in Peril list will hopefully encourage funding opportunities and donations from foundations as well as private donors.
On June 30th, 1911, Joplin Union Depot opened to the public. This reinforced concrete structure was designed by Kansas City architect Lewis Curtis and helped define Curtis's reputation as a pioneer in fireproof construction. Unlike other train depots at the time, which generally depict classical stylistic elements, Curtis's design incorporated geometric embellishments to create a prairie modern style building. The depot serviced the Kansas City Southern, Missouri, Kansas, Texas, and Santa Fe railroads, and allowed the already growing Joplin area to flourish. On November 3, 1969, the last train departed the depot, and for over 50 years the building has remained vacant. Since 1972, groups have proposed alternate uses for the structure, including a Joplin Museum complex, but nothing ever came to fruition. The building is currently threatened by a number of factors, including neglect and deterioration as well as vandalism. The once white painted walls are covered with graffiti. Current players in advocacy for the future of the depot include the City of Joplin, the Joplin Historic Preservation Commission, Downtown Joplin Alliance, Post Art Library, Historic Murfreesburg Preservation Inc., and other regional preservation groups and residents. The Missouri Department of Natural Resources State Historic Preservation Office has owned the building since 1998 with hopes of finding a buyer who will rehabilitate the structure. Supporters hope that listing the Joplin Union Depot as a place in peril will raise awareness of the property's availability and help find a developer to restore this important piece of Joplin's history.